كلية الفقه الحنفي تقدم.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. So inshallah today we'll be doing in regards to calculating the shares of the deceased. We'll continue on this discussion. We already started this discussion last lesson, if you remember last time in last session. So now we will move on to from rule number 1 we covered. We will do the remaining 3 rules. So rule number 2, we'll cover rule number 2. We'll give some examples for it, where if you remember, there were 2 groups that we had the fractions in. We had a half, a quarter, and an eighth. That's group number 1. And group number 2, we have a third, 2/3, and 1/6. So if there are only group 1 or only group 2 fractions, then what do we do in that scenario? That's rule number 2. And rule number 3 is where you have cross, meaning you have a cross of group 1 and group 2, whether there are multiple group 1 fractions and there are multiple group 3 fractions, but they all are there. Yeah, there's some of them from group 1, some of them group 2, however many there are. Then what do we do here? So that's rule number 3. And then we will do rule number 4. This rule number 4 will cover where there are no fractions. There are nobody who is receiving a fixed share of fraction. Then what do we do? How do we distribute then? So we'll cover the rules there. We'll summarize all of this because it's been quite a bit. We'll give examples for each one. After that, I'll give you a lot of practice, because when we're doing inheritance, you have to do a lot of practice for whatever you've learned, because practice is what we say, practice makes perfect. Practice is what will allow you to eradicate any misunderstandings, lingering misunderstandings here and there. And when you can see it in front of you, when you can do it for yourself as well, and if you make a mistake, you can correct yourself. So wherever I'm giving the practice questions, you to pause the recording, pause the video, so that you can do the answers yourself. And once you've done it, then unpause it and reveal the answer, and you can see for yourself whether you're getting it right. And if you're not, then you'll try to understand where you're going wrong. If it's a weakness with fractions, then I do say try to go over certain videos or whatever, or certain revision books of how to do basic fractions. It's not complicated, and inshallah things will become easier. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. So now for today's session, we move on to rule number 2, when we're talking about calculating how to calculate the shares of the heirs, the inheritors that are left behind of the deceased. We did rule number 1, when there is just one fraction, one share from any group, then you just use the denominator of the fraction that's there, and you make the divisor from that. In some of the videos I saw that the divisor was covered up by the video, but I'm sure you can work out the divisor is going to be, in essence, the bottom number, the denominator of the fraction. In this, hopefully today's session, it will become a bit more clear. So if I show you, for instance, here we have rule number 2 now. Yes, we move on to rule number 2. So rule number 2, when dealing with multiple fractions from the same group, it's all in one group, okay, of inheritance shares, the divisor is determined by the highest common denominator amongst them. So let's do some examples to understand what we're saying here. So example number 1, deceased left behind a wife, a daughter, and a full brother. So just as we understood previously, you draw a long line for the representing the actual deceased. Then you write beneath the line, you write the deceased, the heirs that had left behind, so wife, writing the spouses first always. Then come the remainder heirs, the daughter, the fixed Quranic shareholder we want to put first, and then we put the full brother, the agnate shareholder, agnatic shareholder, should I say. Now we put down the shares. So the wife, because there's a daughter there, the wife will get, daughter of the deceased, so the wife will get 1/8. The daughter, there's only one of them, she will receive a half. And the brother, because there's no other asaba, there's no other agnatic shareholder besides him, so he will receive the remainder. He will be the asaba. Now we see that there is a half and eighth, two fractions that are used from the same group. So remember, half, a quarter, and an eighth was group number one. So because there is two fractions being used that are different, but they're from the same group, so what we do is we use the highest denominator, which is 8, and we make the divisor from 8 now. So we write down the divisor in the corner like this, 8. So now hopefully you can see it. So in the previous videos, you just have to fill in the gap. If the fraction was 1/3, then it would be 3. If the fraction was 1/8, it was 8. If the fraction was 1/6, then it would have been a 6 on top in that divisor where the divisor space is. So now you use the 8 and you do 1/8 of 8. 1/8 of 8 is 1. Then a half of 8, because 8 is the amount that we will distribute the property of the deceased into. That's what's meant by the divisor, should I say. So the daughter receives half of 8, which is 4, and we work out how much is given out already from 8. So we see 5 is given out. What's left over is 3. So the brother gets the remaining 3. And then we add that up. 3 plus 4 plus 1. We add it up, and it should add up to 8. So that was the last step that we do. So here we go. These are the shares that have been given out. The total would be 8. So this is rule number 2 in essence, where there is multiple fractions from the same group. We use the highest fraction, highest denominator. It's very easy to understand, I'm sure. Let's just do another example to make sure that we've understood. Example 2, deceased has left behind a mother, 2 uterine sisters, and a full brother. So we write them down: mother, 2 uterine sisters, full brother. Mother gets 1/6 because there's 2 siblings, 2 or more siblings. Mother will get 1/6. 2 uterine sisters, they're getting 1/3 because there's 2 of them, and a full brother becomes the asaba, becomes the agnatic shareholder. Now we see that 1/3 and 1/6 are in the same. So 1/3, 2/3, and 1/6 were from group number 2. So there's multiple fractions. There's 2 fractions here that are used from the same group. So we use the highest denominator, which is 6. So we make the divisor out of 6. So we see divisor is 6, and then we give 1/6 to the mother, which is 1. 1/3 out of 6 to the 2 uterine sisters. So they'll get 2. There's 2, 4, 6, 1/3. And the remaining, which is 3, goes to the full brother. So that should add up to our total 6. And there we go. It's complete. So this is rule number 2. I'm sure everyone can now understand rule number 2. We move on to rule number 3. Now, when dealing with inheritance scenarios involving fractions from both groups, group number 1 as well as group number 2, multiply, what you have to do a bit more now, multiply the highest denominator from group 1. Always do it from group 1. So either 2, 4, or 8. The denominators were, remember, half, quarter, or 8. So the denominator of group 1, which is 2, 4, or 8, by 3. Just multiply by 3. Always use that rule. This will be the divisor. Whatever the result is, if for example, 2 times 3 So 6 will be your divisor. So if it's 4 times 3, then 12 will be your divisor. 8 times 3, then 24 will be your divisor. So like that, you just make that your divisor. So overlook group 2 fractions. Don't look at any more. As long as you know there's group 2 there, you don't need to worry about the group 2. Always use group 1 only. So therefore, if a scenario includes half from group 1, alongside fractions from group 2, any fractions from group 2, it says half, and there's also a third, there's 2/3, there's 1/6, whatever they are. So there is there's fractions from group 1 and group 2 now, crossing. So the estate will be divided into 6 parts, because we got half, which is 2 there, from group 1, 2, and with you multiply the 2 by simply 3. Just multiply by 3, so the 6 will be 2 times 3 will be 6 will be your divisor, without worrying about which fraction from group 2 came about. So let's do an example. Deceased has left behind a husband, a mother, and 2 uterine sisters. So we're going to draw the line out. Husband, we write husband, mother, and 2 uterine sisters. So husband, because there is no children, will receive half. Mother, because there's 2 siblings, will receive a 1/6. And the 2 uterine sisters will receive, because 2 of them, 1/3. Now we see there is half from group 1 and a 1/6 and 1/3 from group 2. So because there is multiple fractions from both groups, so what we do is just take the 2 from group 1, half, the denominator is 2. Take the 2, multiply it by 3, just always use 3, multiply it by 3, and that will give you your denominator being 6. Now, sorry, your divisor, should I say, divisor being 6. So now you do half, the husband gets half of that 6, because the 6 is the amount that we will split up the estate of the deceased into. So we put into 6 portions, half of that 6 husband will receive, which is 3. Mother receives 1/6, which is 1. And the 2 uterine sisters receive 1/3, which is 2. So we add it all up and we see it equals 2 plus 1 plus 3 equals 6. So that's the amount that we've given out, and that's the amount the divisor was. So we know we are right. Everything seems correct here. So this is rule number 3, just to give you a little bit more understanding here. When you have a quarter, for example, from the first group, with 1 or more fractions from the second group, the estate will be divided into 12 parts, because 4 is the denominator here, quarter 4, and you times it by 3. That's the rule. So let's do an example. Deceased left behind a wife, a maternal grandmother, and a father. So you draw the line again, you write the wife, maternal grandmother, and father. So wife will receive a quarter because there's no children. Maternal grandmother will receive 1/6 because there's no mother or anybody to block her. And the father will receive the remaining. He will be the asaba because there's no children. So he will receive asaba, he will be the agnatic shareholder. So now we see a quarter from group 1 and a 6 from group 2 came. So what do? We ignore the 1/6. We look at a quarter, we look at the denominator 4, and we multiply that by 3. 4 times 3 is 12. So now 12 is our divisor. So then you give the wife 1/4 of 12, which is 3. You give the maternal grandmother 1/6 of the 12, which is 2. And the remaining goes to the father. So you do 3 plus 2, which is 5. Out of 12, there remains 7. So therefore the father gets 7. And here we go, we add it up. 7 plus 2 plus 3 equals 12. And we know that we are right here. So this is, in essence, what we are doing in this rule here. Now to move on, we have when you have both 1/8 from the first group with 1 or more fraction from the second group, the estate will be divided into 24 parts. So you got 8 times 3 happening now. I'm sure people are getting the hang of it, inshallah. So the example, deceased has left behind a wife, mother, and a son. So if we draw the line out, we write wife, mother, and son. Wife, because there's a son there, will receive an eighth. Mother will receive, again, because there's a son there, will receive a sixth. And the son will receive the remaining. He will be the agnatic shareholder. Now we see 1/8 is there from group number 1, alongside 1/6 with group number 2. So we take the 1/8, the 8, we take the bottom number, and we times the 8 by 3. That's the rule. So 8 times 3 is 24. That gives us our divisor. Then we give 1/8 of 24 to the wife. So she receives 3, because that's 1/8 of 24. And mother receives 1/6 of 24. So receives 4, because 4 is 1/6 of 24. And we add that up, 4 plus 3, which is 7, minus the 24, gives us 17 remaining for the son. So we add that up, equals 24. So this is what we had left over, 24. And we've given out all 24 shares to the heirs that are remaining over here. So this is in essence how you do it. For those people who may be struggling with fractions, maybe you want to revise over how to work out fractions. It's very easy, simple. 1/8 of 24, you simply divide the 24 into 8 parts. So one part of it, which is obviously 3. So if you don't know how to do it, you can just do it on a calculator. If you want to, 24, you divide it by the 6, if you're working out 1/6 of 24. So that will give you your 4. So like that, that's how you do it. It's very easy. So revising over fractions will hopefully help the people there. Now we're moving on to rule number 4. Now rule number 4 is a little bit more complicated. As you can appreciate, as we go along, it adds a little bit of complexity. So this is when only agnetic relatives are present without anyone having an allocated share. So there are no fractions. So we've understood up until rule 3 was very easy. Oh, well, rule number 2, rule number 1 was very easy. Rule 2 was a little bit more challenging. Rule 3 probably a bit more challenging. Rule 4, it'd probably be easier than rule 3, I would say, for most people as well. So anyway, the divisor is determined based on the number of individuals now. So if there are only males, the divisor equals the number of males. If both males and females are present, each male is counted as 2 individuals, and each female is counted as 1 individual. So you'll understand. So example is deceased left behind a son and 2 daughters. So we draw the line again, we write 2 daughters and a son. So in this case, the daughter, because in the presence of the son, will become an agnetic shareholder. And obviously the son will be the agnetic shareholder. So you've got the asaba bi nafsihi happening in son, and asaba bi ghayrihi for the daughter. So she's becoming an asaba because of the son. So what happens in this scenario? We're looking at number of individuals. We've got 2 daughters, and we've got 2 daughters and we've got 1 son. But the sons, because he's the male, he'll be counted as 2. So we've got 2 daughters and so-called 2 sons. We just make the son into doubles. So we've got 4 people. So that means 4 people means we need 4 shares. So therefore we'll make the divisor into 4. Very easy. And then we give each person 1 in essence. So we give the 2 daughters their 2, because each daughter will get 1 each. And the son, we counted him as 2, is actually 1, but he gets double the share, so he'll get 2. So here we'll have the son receiving double the share of each daughter. So that's the way to work this out. So this equals, we can see equals 4. Divisor is 4. We've equaled 4 here. So we know we've done it right. So just 2 key points for summary. I'm sure everyone understood that. The allocated shares can be divided into two groups. Coming back to the point, just all the shares that that are allocated, two groups. We've got half, quarter, and an eighth. And then we've got a third, 2/3, and 1/6. There are four rules for working out the divisor. Rule number one is when the shares occur individually, the divisor will be the same as the denominator. So if only half is there, or only 2/3 is there, or only 1/8 is there, or only 1/6 is there, whatever the denominator is, the divisor will be the same. Rule number two, when more than one fraction occurs, and they are from the same group, so group A or group B, or group 1 and group 2, whichever way you want to say, the divisor will be the biggest number from the denominators. Whatever the highest common denominator is, that's the one we'll use. Rule number three is when there are fractions from both groups now. However many fractions there are from both groups, you can have multiple from group A and multiple from group, you can have the half, the quarter, whatever it is. So the highest denominator from group 1. So if you've got a half and a quarter, you use the quarter now, you use the 4. From group 1, you multiply by 3. And that's it. This will be your divisor. Ignore group 2. Always use group 1, as I've said. And rule number 4 is when there are only agnates and thus no one with an allocated share, no one with a fraction, then the divisor will be based on the number of individuals. Count each male as 2 doubles and each female as singles, as 1 individuals. And like that, you will be able to do the scenarios. So now, hopefully people have understood this. This is how to calculate the shares of each individual. Now what we'll do is I'll give you some questions. And I want everyone to do these questions. So question number 1, divide the estate of the deceased who has left behind a husband and a father. So you draw your line out, husband and father. That's all you're doing. And again, like I say, always pause the recording if you need more time, because I will now reveal the answer. So husband, in the answer, husband receives half, father receives a asaba, meaning he will be the agnatic shareholder. So because there's only one fraction, one group, one fraction being used, so you just make the divisor out of the 2. 2 is your divisor. Give husband 1, which is half of 2, and left over, which is 1, you give it to the father. Very simple, E equals 2, so we're right. Question number 2, divide the estate of the deceased who has left behind a wife and a son. So draw it out, you write wife and son. Now the answer, 1/8 for wife, son becomes a asaba, becomes the agnatic shareholder. Because there's only one fraction, 1/8, we make the divisor out of 8. Wife gets 1/8, and the remaining 7 shares will go to the son. E equals 8, so we've got everything going right. Question number 3, divide the estate of the deceased who has left behind a mother, full brother, and 3 full sisters. So you want to write it all out. Mother, 3 full sisters, and full brother. Full brother comes last because we know that he will become the agnatic shareholder. Okay, the answer, mother gets 1/6. 3 full sisters will become, with their brother, will become the agnatic shareholders. So now there's only one fraction, 1/6, so you make the divisor out of the 6. Mother will get that 1/6, that 1, and the remaining goes to the sisters and the full brother. Now remember, the remaining is 7. Now here what happened is each full sister would receive 1 share, and the brother has to receive double of theirs. So it works out here because each sister will receive one share each, and the brother will receive 2. So there was 7 left over. So if you do 3 plus the 2 is, there was 5 left over, should I say, 5 left over. And there are 5 people here. Sorry, I said 7 by mistake, but it's 5 left over here. And 5, in essence, 5 number that we needed, because we need 2 shares for the brother and 1 share each for the sister, for each sister. So we had 3 and 2, so it all equals 6. So it worked out here. We'll do later on scenarios when it may not work out, but the point over here simply is to show how to work out the divisor. So we'll keep it quite simple. Question number 4, divide the estate of the deceased who is left behind an agnate brother, an agnate sister, and a paternal uncle. So we've got agnate brother, agnate sister, and an uncle. What do we do here? So now revealing the answer. Agnate brother with the agnate sister become the asaba, become the agnatic shareholder, and this is because the brother, if you remember in the table in the chart, the brother comes before the uncle. So in agnatic kin, agnatic shareholders, so he will get the asaba, the uncle will get nothing. Mim just means mahjub, means they don't get anything. You can just write 0 or nil or anything you want to write. So now here we have a scenario where we don't have any fractions. So rule number 4, we just make it from the number of individuals. So the agnate sister is only 1, and brother counts as double, so there's 2. So then we have to make the scenario out of 3. So the divisor will be 3. We give 2 to the brother, 1 to the sister, and 0 to the uncle. And it's as simple as that. It equals 3, so we're all okay. Question number 5, divide the estate of the deceased who is left behind 2 full sisters, a paternal cousin brother. 2 full sisters and a paternal cousin brother. Now revealing the answer, 2/3 to the full sisters, because there's 2 of them, 2 or more of them, and the paternal cousin brother will become a asaba. He is the only agnate or agnatic shareholder. So we see there's only 2/3 being used here. So we make the divisor out of 3. The full sisters receive their 2 parts, and the cousin brother will now receive 1, the remaining. So it's 3, no problem, it's all okay. Question number 6, divide the estate when there is 2 wives, 2 sons, and 3 daughters. So you draw your scenario out, 2 wives, 3 daughters, and 2 sons. Now to reveal the answer, 1/8 for the 2 wives because there is children involved, and 3 daughters and 2 sons together will become the agnatic shareholders. So we got 1/8. So we will make the divisor out of 8, and we'll give the 2 wives their 1 share. They'll get half each. They'll divide that amongst themselves. And the 3 daughters plus the 2 sons. So if you remember, 3 daughters, 2 sons count as doubles. So the sons are in essence 4 plus the 3 daughters, that becomes 7. So it adds up over here because the 3 daughters will get 3, 1 each, and the 2 sons will get 4 because they'll get 2, 2 each. So it adds up, 4 plus 3 plus 1 equals the 8. So it worked out over here. Now moving on to do a few more questions to make sure everyone does get the hang of it. As we can see, slowly, it will become more challenging. So number 7, when we're doing, just to make you understand that when we're doing inheritance, it is all about a lot of practice. You have to practice a lot. Because the more you practice, the more you will start to get the hang of it. So you got this scenario here. We got a daughter, two granddaughters, two uterine brothers, and an agnate brother now. So you got more people to consider. So you got daughter, two granddaughters, two uterine brothers, and an agnate brother. So now what do we do here? You have to write out the scenarios, the shares for each one first. Now to reveal the answer, half for the daughter, because there's nobody else that would receive that. The two granddaughters will receive, because of the daughter, there's only one daughter, so the two granddaughters will receive 1/6. Then the two uterine brothers will have nothing because of the daughter being there. And the agnate brother will become the asaba, will become the agnatic shareholder. So now we see there's a half and a 6. So half is from group 1 and 6 is from group 2. So now what do we need to do? We need to take the half, the 2 there, and we multiply it by 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. So that's our divisor. So now we give the daughter half of that, which is 3. We give granddaughters 1/6 of that, which is 1. The uterine brothers will receive nothing. And the remaining, so we see 3 plus the 1 is 4. We got 2 remaining, so we give that to the agnate brother. So now that equals 6, so we are okay here. Question number 8. When there is a daughter, agnate sister, a uterine sister, and a paternal uncle. So you write it out, daughter, agnate sister, uterine sister, and paternal uncle. Now to reveal the answer, daughter again receives a half. Agnate sister this time will be the ij'alul akhawat ma'al banati asabatan, so she will become the agnatic shareholder. The uterine sister will receive nothing because there's the daughter there. And the paternal uncle will also receive nothing because there is a agnatic shareholder who's before him. The uncle is after the sister. Sister is higher in relation, so the sister will get the agnatic share. So hopefully this makes this clear too. So now we only got one fraction, which is half, so we just make it our 2, give 1 to the daughters and 1 to the agnate sister, and that's it really. The rest of them get nothing. So equals 2, so we're okay. Next question. If there is a grandfather, full sister, paternal grandfather, and an agnate brother. So you write it out. Granddaughter, full sister, paternal grandfather, and agnate brother. What happens here? Now to reveal the answer, half for the granddaughter. Full sister receives nothing because there is a descendant there, the granddaughter is there. This would be the paternal granddaughter, meaning that granddaughter would be the son's daughter, yeah? The paternal grandfather, he will receive there's no father, so he'll receive the 1/6, but there's a daughter, meaning a granddaughter there. So he will also receive the asaba, the agnatic sharehold. And the agnate brother will now receive nothing because the grandfather is there. So we can see that there is a half and there's 1/6. So half is from group 1, 1/6 is from group 2. So we just take the half, the 2 there, and you multiply it by 3. So your divisor is going to be 6. So you give granddaughter a half of that, which is 3. Full sister gets nothing. Paternal grandfather will receive his 1/6 share, which is 1. Then when we see that he was given him 1, the agnate brother gets nothing. So we've given 1 because of the 1/6 share. We add that up with the 3 that we already gave to the granddaughter. So the 1 plus 3 is 4. We still have 2 left over. So that 2 will go to him also because of his agnatic share. So 1 plus 2, which then equals the 3 in total the paternal grandfather will receive. And as we said, the agnate brother gets nothing. This equals 6 in total. So this is now correct. Next one, deceased left behind husband, 2 daughters, a granddaughter, a uterine brother, and a full brother. So you write them all down. Husband, 2 daughters, granddaughter, uterine brother, and full brother. To now reveal the answer, husband receives a quarter, 2 daughters receive 2/3, because there's 2 of them. Granddaughter receives nothing now because there are 2 daughters. If there was only 1 daughter, the granddaughter would have received a 1/6. And the husband obviously receives the quarter because there's the child there, there's the daughters there. The uterine brother receives nothing because there is daughters there. And the full brother will now become the asaba, will receive the agnetic sharehold. So we see that in terms of fractions, we see there is a quarter, which is from group 1, but there's also 2/3, which is from group 2. So we ignore the 2/3, we go to the quarter, we see the 4, we multiply it by 3, which gives us our divisor 12. So the husband gets a quarter of 12, which is 3. 2 daughters receive 2/3 of the 12, which is 8. Granddaughters receive nothing. Our uterine brother receives nothing. So now we see the full brother receives the remaining, so 8 plus the 3, which is 11. There's only 1 left over to give to the full brother, so full brother receives 1, and that equals our 12 that we divided the property into. So everything is okay. Next question, divide the estate if there is full sister, agnate sister, uterine sister, and paternal uncle. Full sister, agnate sister, uterine sister, and paternal uncle. Now to reveal the answer, full sister gets a half, agnate sister receives a 1/6, and the uterine sister receives 1/6 too. There's no one to block her. And the paternal uncle receives, he is the asaba, he gets the agnetic sharehold. So now, full sister, so there's a half there, which is from group 1, and there's also 1/6, but the 1/6 is both the same, but it's from group 2. So there's again, we just go to the half, the 2, we multiply by 3, our divisor is now 6. So half of 6 is 3, the full sisters get, agnate sister gets 1, uterine sister also gets 1. There is 1 left over to give to the paternal uncle. So you got 6 total and everything is good. Next question, husband, mother, uterine sister, uterine brother, paternal cousin brother, and maternal grandfather. So write them all out. Husband, mother, 2 uterine siblings, paternal cousin brother, and maternal grandfather. So now what happens? To reveal the answer, husband has a half, mother receives a 1/6 because there is 2 siblings. Husband receives the half because there's no children. 2 uterine siblings receive 1/3 because there's 2 of them. Paternal cousin brother will be the asaba, will be the agnetic shareholder. And the maternal grandfather, remember, he is not agnetic shareholder. He is related to the deceased through a female. So he's not a agnetic shareholder. He will simply be mahjub because he would be a dhawil arham from the people who are womb related. So now we see that there is a half and 1/6 and 1/3. So half is from group 1, 1/6 and 1/3 are from group 2. So we just use the 2 with the half, the 2 there, multiply it by 3, we get 6. And we give half of 6 to the husband, which is 3. Mother gets 1/6, which is 1. 2 uterine siblings also get 2, in fact, because they're 1/3 they're getting. And cousin brother gets nothing, and the grandfather receives nothing. The reason cousin brother gets nothing is because when you add it up, 3 plus 1 from the mother and 2 from the uterine siblings, there's nothing left to give to the cousin brother. So though he is a agnatic shareholder, he gets nothing because there's nothing left over. So this is where you understand that the fixed Quranic shareholders are stronger in relation, in comparison to the agnatic shareholder like this. So this is these examples complete. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. So alhamdulillah, today we've finished rule number 1, 2, 3 and 4. So if we just quickly summarize in terms of the rules. So rule number 1 is where there is, in terms of the groups that we allocated, there is only one fraction out of any of the fractions, only one fraction there. So we make the divisor from the denominator of that fraction. Rule number 1. Rule number 2, if there are multiple fractions from the same group, then you use the biggest denominator from that group that are present, and you use that as the divisor. So if there's a half and a quarter present, you use the 4 as your divisor. If there's a half and an eighth present, then you use 8 as your divisor, like that. And rule number 3 is when there is from group 1 as well as group 2, there are fractions, then you simply take the group 1 fraction, whatever it may be, the highest one of them. So if there's a half and a 4 and a quarter, so you use the 4. And you multiply that by 3 simply. And that would be your divisor. The answer will be your divisor. Then rule number 4 is where there is no fraction. Then we treat each male that is there as double of the female in terms of number of individuals, and then you make the divisor from the number of individuals. So this is what we've done so far today. I will just give a few more questions. I'll use this chance to give a few questions so you can review yourselves whether you understood it properly. So I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. So if there is wife, grandmother and grandfather, to reveal the answer, quarter for the wife, 1/6 for the grandmother, and the grandfather gets his asaba. He is the agnatic shareholder. So now we've got a quarter from group 1 and 1/6 from group 2. So you use the 4, multiply it by 3, gets you a divisor 12. Wife gets a quarter of the 12, which is 3. Grandmother gets 1/6, which is 2. Remaining goes to the grandfather, which is 7. That equals 12, so it's all good. Next example, we got wife, 2 daughters, and a paternal uncle. Wife, 2 daughters, paternal uncle. What happens here? To reveal the answer, 1/8 for the wife because there's daughters there. Daughters get 2/3. Paternal uncle becomes the asaba, becomes the agnatic shareholder. We got 1/8 and 2/3. So we got 1/8 from group 1, 2/3 from group 2. So we're going to use the 8 multiplied by 3. So this time our divisor will be 24. 1/8 of 24 is going to be 3. 2/3 of 24 is 16. Whatever's remaining, which is 5, goes to the uncle. So this is our 24 given out. Another question. There is 3 wives, 5 daughters, an agnate sister, should I say, and a uterine sister and an uncle. So you write them all down. The uncle, sorry, this is a different scenario. So you got 3 wives, 5 daughters, agnate sister, and I've written mother here, sorry. So the scenario is the mother. Slightly changed scenario. So what happens here? To reveal the answer, 1/8 for the wives because they're going to share that because there's daughters there. 2/3 for the daughters because it's more than one of them. Agnate sister will become the asaba because make the sisters with the daughters a asaba ma'al ghayr, and the mother will receive her 1/6 share. So we now have 1/8. We also have from group 1, we also have 2/3 and we have 1/6 from group 2. So regardless of what group 2 is, the 8th we might multiply that by 3. So 8 multiplied by 3 is 24. So the wives, 1/8 of 24 will get 3. So you can see 1 each they're going to get. 5 daughters, 2/3 out of 24, they're going to get 16. Then the mother would be the next person. So the mother's share, 1/6 of 24, which is 4. So she should get 4, and you should write 4 there. I've done it the wrong way around here, so I've already worked out here. So she should receive 4. The one you wouldn't be able to work out yet. Then you would add up 16 plus 4, it gives 20, plus 3 gives you 23, sorry. 1 left over from the 24, which tells you the agnate sister's share, which is 1. So that's the way you would work it out. And that would be your 24 here. Next, you've got wife, mother, father, 2 sons, and 3 full sisters. Let's quickly do this one as well. Now to reveal the answer, 1/8 for the wife, mother gets 1/6, father gets 1/6. The 2 sons, because the sons become the asaba, and the agnatic shareholder, 2 full sisters, receive nothing. The 3 full sisters. So now we see the main thing is that we see 1/8 and 1/6. So we use the 8, multiply by 3, we get 24. 3 for the wife, 4 for the mother, 4 for the father. Remaining 13 goes to the sons. And that's it.